All right, hello, hello. We have special guest, returning guest, Orsha Magyar of Neurotrition. We just finished up a Glymphatic System talk, and I think it was the third or fourth one we've done now. Hey,
Third time, so fun. Every time we
yeah,
come back, it's amazing.
yeah, it's great. And there's always so many questions, and each time. So from the participants, go through the class. We leave room for Q&A. Really great discussions come out of that. But there's always one or two questions that, take the topic a little bit deeper. And Orsha does a little bit of research. So here we are, kind of post-class, post-Q&A and some research. And we've just got two topics to dive into this time that came out of the Q&A session. So let's get right into that. What did you come up with? The two topics that we're going to focus on today is copper, the influence of copper, how that may or may not affect the glymphatic system. And then we're also going to talk about dementia as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
So maybe let's start with copper.
Yeah.
It's one of those nutrients, right? It can kind of go either way. There can be
Yeah.
toxicity, but obviously copper plays such an important role in our health. So what did you find when it comes to the glymphatic system? And
Hmm.
maybe just a quick 30 seconds, just because we are going to post this publicly, so people that
Yeah.
haven't been to the class, they might not
Yeah.
have the context around glymphatic system. Just give us a quick 30 seconds and then speak to us about copper and how that
Sure.
relates.
So for those of you that don't yet know, in 2012, scientists discovered that our brain has its own dedicated waste disposal system. Prior to that, we didn't know if the brain was able to actually clear out certain toxins. We know about the lymphatic system, but the brain doesn't have one of those. And back in 2012, it was discovered that our brain cleans every night while we're asleep. If we're sleeping well, it cleans via this beautiful dedicated glymphatic system.
Awesome.
So yeah, copper. Okay, so as you know, like you said, Malcolm, it's one of those ones that you need a little bit. You need micro amounts, like 3 micrograms a day. It's super important for cellular signaling, including brain and mental health. But then when you get too much, it is linked without a doubt to neurodegenerative symptoms and even neurological disease. So copper is one of those ones, yeah, we need to be really careful with. In general, when I dove, so the question at my class that I didn't have an answer to, so I went off and researched was, is copper at all affecting the glymphatic system? What do we know about it? So I dove into the research. And for those of you wondering, I do my research on PubMed, PubMed, pubmed.org. That's where I go for my primary, straight from the scientists' mouths, primary literature and research. And I broadened my search because copper and glymphatic system didn't come up. Okay, so that doesn't mean, well, it kind of means, yeah, that the research hasn't really been done yet. So I brought in my search because I wanted to come back to you guys with a good answer. And I looked at heavy metals and glymphatic system in general. And so the first thing to note that you may or may not know is we know that heavy metals such as aluminum, copper, of course, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, and lead, these are the most studied ones. We have a strong connection between them and neurodegeneration of the brain. And the two that are most linked specifically to something I work a lot with, which is dementia and Alzheimer's disease, are actually aluminum and copper. So we know there's a link between heavy metals and brain disease. Okay. Now, in terms of what in the brain are these heavy metals and toxins actually affecting, it turns out they're damaging glia. For those of you that attended my class, glia and specifically astrocytes, those little cute star-shaped versions of glia in the brain, are what build the glymphatic system. That is what are being affected by these heavy metals. So another potential link there. For those of you that don't know, we talked a little bit in my class about what the heck glia are. They're the supporting cells of the neurons. They help our primary brain cells be strong and stay healthy. And unfortunately, they're the number one target of heavy metals. So there's a big connection there. Then I tried to see, because I couldn't find anything specifically on copper, but in general, heavy metals. Now, it turns out that because heavy metals don't seem to be water soluble, they're really, really sticky. And from what I was able to find in the literature, the glymphatic system is not really able to clean them. Heavy metals need specific, we call them specific binding proteins or transporter systems to get cleared out of the brain. So far, research is still limited, but right now it hasn't been showing yet anyway that it's the glymphatic that's cleaning things out like copper. So that's what I know so far.
Cool. Okay, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate all the insights there. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
learned a lot. That was a great question. I mean, they always are. Yeah.
another question that came through was sleeping pills and any connection to dementia. And
Hmm.
I'll just kind of interject right now. So if you haven't taken the course, we will be offering it again. So this will be the fourth run on November 26th. That's a Sunday from 1 till 3. Yeah, so that's the next opportunity. And if you have been to the class, one of the kind of insights that comes out of it is, how important sleep is, and especially as we age, for the health of our brain. And so this idea, sleeping pills, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe does it help in order to get that deep REM sleep, or sorry, non-REM sleep, or is it going to cause more problems than it might be actually providing?
Hmm. A really interesting paper came out. It was published, I believe, January 31st, 2023, like brand new. And Malcolm, I'll send you the link because it's open access for those of you listening in. That means it's free. So you'll get a free PDF. I'll send the link. Came out in a really prestigious journal called Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. And it showed that, yeah, in some people, using sleeping pills does in fact increase their risk of dementia. So I want to go further into what the paper kind of showed. So they took 3,000 aging adults that did not have dementia, and they followed them for 15 years. And what they found, this is really alarming, is that those who reported taking sleeping pills often or almost always had a 79% higher risk, 79% higher risk of, by the end of that study, 15 years later, having been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So scientists were like, holy Christ. So then they went back into their stats and tried to make more sense, because that first number is very alarming. Almost 80% higher chance if you're taking sleeping pills. So then one of the first things, then they went back and looked at the research in a different way and reanalyzed it according to race. And what came out was really interesting. They found that this effect was almost 100% in white participants. In Black participants, there was no difference between those who reported never being on sleeping pills, taking them sometimes, often, or almost always. Their risk of dementia stayed the same. So something was going on with sleeping pills in the Caucasian population. So then the scientists looked even deeper into their data, and they're like, what are white patients taking differently? And it turns out Caucasian populations are taking different types of sleeping pills. So I took a note on this. So I'm looking down at my paper because I don't want to get it wrong. So when you look at the white participants in this study, they were twice as likely to be taking benzodiazepines for their sleep. They were 10 times more likely to be using antidepressants as a sleep aid. And they were 7 times as likely to be using sedative hypnotics to get them to sleep. So the scientists hypothesized, like, whoa, okay, it's these categories of meds that potentially are a link. And one thing that they hypothesized that connects all these 3 types of medications, they all deplete the memory neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is what goes away in the brain of somebody who has dementia. We don't know why. And these meds unfortunately deplete it. So bottom line, yes, in some populations, this first study showed in Caucasian population specifically, yeah, there's almost an 80% increased risk when you're taking these pills regularly. So yeah, like you said, Malcolm, I think sleep is so important, but I think learning how to address it naturally is going to be of utmost importance as we start seeing research like this. This was just the first to show it, and it blew everyone's minds. And I'm sure more are going to come out and repeat it and lend more kind of to this. So I think that, it's important for you guys tuning in. If you're having sleep issues, you need to start looking at things like your diet, things that science tells us can affect and help you sleep better without the use of medication or a lower dose of medication, diet, sleep hygiene techniques, exercise, learning what your risk factors are, right? Like we know aluminum, copper are risk factors. So learning what are those in and how do we get those out of your life and out of your brain if possible. So for me at Neurotrition, we offer a 3-month fix your sleep program. And that is exactly, I work my butt off to help you fix your sleep. If you're on meds, sleeping meds, that's okay. We'll work with your doctor to try and reduce the dose and lessen these side effects that the science is starting to show. And if you're willing to try it all naturally, I have a lot of different strategies, and we go through every week together in this 3-month program and figure it out to get you sleeping again naturally.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's emphasize that you have a private clinical practice. It's called Nutrition. Somebody watching this, like, I mean, this is really life-altering information. So if you need to reach out to Orsha right away, let folks know how they can do that.
Thanks, Malcolm. So yeah, you guys can email me at Orsha, ORSHA, at Neurotrition, NEUROTRITION, Orsha at neurotrition.ca for a free consult. We'll chat and see if this is a fit for you and if I can help you. And then if I can, we can book you in. I work here. Our office is downtown Calgary, but I also see remote patients all over now since the pandemic. So yeah, thank you so much.
All right. And of course, we want to welcome you to November 26th, 1 to 3. This will be the next installment of the Neurotrition course, all about the glymphatic system, right? And how to detox the brain and hopefully avoid some of these things as the statistics increase as we age, that, you know, each of us could be affected by these types of conditions. Obviously, we want to avoid that. And this is super empowering, vital information that you're offering. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for doing these Q&As.
I love these Q&As. I learned so much.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, right, is like, you know, the questions, there was only 2 this time, right? Because some of the other stuff that come up, you had already addressed in previous Q&As. So we're building a nice little kind of knowledge bank here that you're providing. So appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, this workshop just keeps getting better and better. Like even just every time I've run it these last 3 based on the feedback and the questions I get. So yeah.
Okay, right on. So registration is through lightseller.ca. Go to live classes and events. This is one that you can be in person, attend live, as well as online. And a lot of people take advantage of that option. And then we send you all the kind of resources afterwards as well, including a recording of the workshop, whether you're there in person or not, plus some other goodies and Orsha slides as well. So, okay, thanks for your time today. And
thank you. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A.
All right. Please share this with someone who needs this information, and we'll see you again.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.